The spin around Thor Love and Thunder has been, wow, epic. I know we've talked about this in various different places, but I thought I would formalize it in video form. Thor Love and Thunder has not exactly been a resounding success, despite the early box office numbers of the first weekend, and it had a pretty decent fall off in its second weekend at 68% overall. Is that surprising? No. Was it predictable? Entirely. And Hollywood is going to continue with their talking points and, of course, their bluster about the film. And it could not be more inaccurate. And they aren't going to have something to fall back on because there aren't a lot of other films coming up in the near future, and there will be no excuses for this film not to perform as well as Doctor Strange 2. Well, guess what? It's going to underperform that, which of course was also an underperforming film, as neither of these will probably creep over the $1 billion line. It's quite arguable that Thor Love and Thunder doesn't even cross 800 million. And that would be catastrophic for a film with a $250 million budget. But there's more here, so let's take a look at it. Here we go. So the spin started early. I mean, it really started early. It started over on Variety's VIP platform, which I usually give a lot of respect. They have some good numbers and some sound thinking most of the time. Well, often is probably a better way to say that. And look at this headline: Thor cements Marvel's theatrical recovery, with one caveat: China. Well, they're not going to have any easy road to China, because they are leaning very heavily on some themes that essentially, well, China's not too happy about, nor are they interested in promoting, and Disney just is maybe sticking to its guns, which some people could say, well, good for them. Me, I just say it's bad business for a very small portion of the population. But of course, we also have, and this will be fun, this headline from Forbes, which is the other side of the coin. From Black Widow to Thor Love and Thunder, why does MCU Phase 4 feel so aimless? This is from Paul Tassi. He's he's one of the main contributors over at Forbes when it comes to films and other things like that, television, games, yada yada. Interestingly enough, he goes through all the same arguments we've had about Phase 4 being, well, complete disaster and pretty aimless. And so there's spin in both directions. From Forbes, you get the business side of things. You get the analytical side of things from the money side, which should tell you all you need to know. This thing has not really been that big of a moneymaker. But from the trade side of things, you get the rah-rah Disney, rah-rah movies are back, rah-rah. So somewhere in the middle, the two meet. Usually it's at the box office and the dollars and cents. So we look at, from the Wrap, an article from Jeremy Fooster, and this goes back a little ways to the 14th, which was Thursday. Basically calling out what all of us on, well, this platform have been doing, or many of us, I mean, the people I'm familiar with anyway, in my little corner of the internet, that this film was going to fall off a cliff in its second weekend, and it absolutely did. 68% fall off. That's terrible. And it is right in line with what our expectations were. In fact, it may have even exceeded mine a little bit, thinking that maybe it would be around a 60, 62, 64%, but 68%. Ooh, cataclysmic. So, according to Mr. Fooster, there won't be anything stopping Marvel Studios' old Thor Love and Thunder from taking the #1 spot again at the box office, as this weekend's new releases, Paws of Fury, The Legend of Hank, and Where the Crawdads Sing, aren't expected to open above 10 million. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, that Crawdads thing went a lot higher than that. I think it got close to 15. It might be more than that. Again, we're talking domestic numbers, so globally I have no clue where that film stands, but we'll keep going. That said, Thor Love and Thunder isn't looking like it's going to have a particularly strong hold at the box office. After grossing $13.6 million on Tuesday for running 170, Thor 4 is estimated for a 50 to 55 million second weekend. Wow, did they miss there? A little lower than that. And with that 68% fall off, which isn't reflected here in this article, because again, this was from Thursday, you've seen a shift in support for Marvel properties. There's been a lot of speculation, including on the Sunday show that I do, the Sunday Culture Review, where myself and the panel all kind of gave our thoughts around why this was happening, why people were not jumping up and down to see this film again, or maybe seeing it at all. You have, of course, repeat business at the box office when a film is good, something like Top Gun Maverick, or even Spider-Man No Way Home from last year. But when it comes to pretty much everything that Disney Marvel has come out with, well, it's pretty much fallen off a cliff, at least earnings-wise. These are no longer performing as the blockbusters they once had, and they really are in a position where they're not supporting their budgetary numbers. 67% fall off for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. That was a pretty substantial and kind of scary fall off for a Marvel film. Well, 68% is even worse, especially for something that only earned $144 million on its opening weekend. A 62 to 65% drop would have been, well, something to be hoped for. A 68%, not so much. Fall off of that much, you're only earning about $46 million over the course of your second weekend. Not exactly pushing your total to a point that, is anything to crow about, and definitely putting into question whether or not this film, despite its somewhat significant global number, just under 500 million to date, is even going to put this film in the black. I've made arguments that this thing is probably going to need about $650 million to break even maybe $600 million I would give you. $500 million ain't gonna do it, and this thing ain't gonna have more legs. In fact, it kind of sets off an argument that I've been having with some people over the weekend. I think that people are stepping away from Disney and, of course, all of their brands, which include Marvel and definitely Star Wars. A lot of it can be attributed to, well, apathy. The audience is bored with the product being put out there, and that can be for a lot of reasons, whether it be the insertion of political ideology or just fatigue. And fatigue is probably a pretty good argument when it comes to the superhero genre. There's also some other considerations, which we talked about on Sunday, that include the economy. Globally, the economies are falling off quickly. Inflation is undermining the value of any currency at the moment, for the most part, and your buying power is being eaten into. So you have to find yourself in a position with fuel costs and inflation beyond 11% at the wholesale level, putting you in a decision-making tree. Do I go to a film, or do I pay for a tank of gas? If you have a job and other things to do, well, you're probably going to pay for a tank of gas. And if you have a streaming service, well, Disney's already training you to wait for their product. It was a bad idea. $15 a month is not going to, hold up your cinema empire, Disney. You're making bad decisions once again. Which may be why Disney and many of the others are leaning into an ad-based model for one part of their streaming services. It's not going to be free, but it'll be less expensive as long as you're willing to tolerate ads. I don't know that I'd be willing to tolerate ads to see a lot of these products from Disney, well, including, Thor, Love and Thunder, which, again, word of mouth is the contributing factor that almost can't be accounted for in most cases. Here, I would make an argument that word of mouth from both a critical standpoint and from a fan standpoint has not necessarily been positive about this film. And you line that up with Twitter is not real world commentary like we need a trigger warning because of cancer, well, you're going to have even more trouble there. So, what does this all mean? I think it means that we're seeing the early indicators, if not, beyond early indicators of the fact that we're done with the superhero genre, and that Disney may have predicted a longer life for their superhero franchise, which, in the case of most fans, maybe, seem to think that has outlived its usefulness, or at least its interest. I don't know. We will have to see at the end of the day if Marvel can bring out a film that people will come out to see. On the horizon, I don't know that there are a lot of interesting things out there. I know we're looking at November for Wakanda Forever, but between now and then, and we still have a long wait, I think, for Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I'm not placing bets on any film coming out on time anymore, so hey, it's a crapshoot. But Thor Love and Thunder, is it a flop? Well, that's for you to decide. I think it was. But I'm interested in your comments, so use the comment section down below. All we have to do is have an exchange about whether or not you think that this film was a success or will be a success. Do you think this film was a flop? Do you think it was more than a disappointment? Do you think it's going to be profitable? I'm interested in the answer to all of these questions. Again, please use that comment section down below. And of course, I will always encourage you to support other independent creators here on the platform. We have a lot of them, and they certainly need your support as, again, the platforms are favoring the corporate content creators who are going to give you spin about how great this film was and that the fall off really wasn't that bad. With that being said, I'll end the video the same way I always do. Be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, wash your hands, of course, because it's good hygiene. And until next time, bye.
Thanks for visiting today. Be sure you're subscribed and hit that for alerts.
Yay!
Of course, like and share all of the videos that you can as it helps with the algorithm. Have a great day.